Hi, folks. I'm Sean Crabtree.
And I'm Cameron Bailey.
We don't want to change the way you do business.
We want to change the way you're thinking about your business.
We want you to have better results, happier clients, and make more money.
Let's get it started.
If you're clear about where it is that you want to go, now you got to get the team aligned behind where it is that you want to go. And you know, this is not something that you need to do as the doctor. This is getting the team and you together behind a common purpose,
common direction, common goal. You know,
and there's a great story that we should probably start off with.
Yeah, I've got a really good story about this. That, you know, when we were thinking about creating a team of people and creating a vision, I've got a really good story about a practice that we worked with for quite a few years, probably 3 or 4 years, and the practice actually recently transitioned. What's so funny?
I was just thinking about your wife calling you Dr. Rico Love.
Oh, Rico Love.
I'm sorry, man. We're on track now. Go right ahead. It's a good story, and let's don't let Dr. Rico Love take away from the value of the story.
Dr. Rico Love is telling the story. So this particular practice we worked with, we met the doctor. We were speaking at the Chicago Midwinter years ago, and we met the doctor. He was in the audience. There was 2,000 people or so in the audience. And, you know, he was sitting somewhat in the front row, but he stuck around at the end of the seminar and wanted to talk to us. At that point, he was considering transitioning the practice to a corporate dental group, as a lot of these guys go through. You know, that corporate dentistry model looks appealing as a way out. Right,
and that's really what he was after.
Yeah, he was looking at the way out, but he had a little nagging sensation in his gut that said, you know what, I'm not done. I feel like there's still potential I could achieve. I feel like I haven't reached the maximum. He'd been practicing for 30 plus years, and he felt he still hadn't reached his maximum potential as far as his business. So.
And there were several issues with that. I mean, number one, he was concerned about the girls on his team and whether or not it was a good time to, you know, I mean, some of these guys have been with him for 20 plus years.
Yeah, the team had been in place for a long, long time.
The other aspect of that was because he didn't feel like he'd reached his full potential, then his asset, this practice, was not worth what potentially it could be worth,
right,
under different circumstances. And so, at any rate, we ended up working together.
Yeah, we ended up working together. It was a great time. And, you know,
several years.
Yeah, he'd been practicing for 30 years and not reached his full potential. We grew the practice, and then recently, about 18 months ago, we transitioned the practice, and he did sell the practice. But
now let me tell the good part.
Okay.
So the good part of the wrap-up of that story, and this is my favorite story, you know, it was Christmas time, I guess, maybe a year or so ago, maybe 2. I'm not real sure which, but
yeah.
My wife and I had both sides of the family over at our house on Christmas Eve day. It was during the day, and my cell phone rang, and it was this particular doctor, and hadn't talked to him in quite a while, and I'm glad I answered the phone. He said, Sean, you know, I just want you to know, because you remember his dream.
I remember his dream.
He had some property in West Virginia.
That was part of his vision.
And part of the thing that
vision was he wanted to retire in that property.
He wanted to build a house.
And that would be his retirement home.
And at any rate, so he called me on Christmas Eve. I got my whole family there, and I grabbed the call. And he said, you know, Sean, I know it's Christmas Eve, and I'm sure you got family over, and I really hate to bother you, but I just want you to know that I'm sitting here with my wife on this deck overlooking this beautiful West Virginia view, and we're talking about, you know, things that we're thankful for. And I just wanted to call you and tell you how thankful we are that you were in our lives and that you took us to where it is that we wanted to be. And there's no way that we'd be sitting right here on this deck with this view if it wasn't for you guys and what you did at the Crabtree. It was an unbelievable call. I'm so thankful that I took the call, and it'll be something that will stick with me for the rest of my life. It's a great story.
He's a heck of a guy. He's a heck of a dude. Dr. W,
yeah.
You know who you are. If you're listening, we love you, man.
Yeah.
But the point of me bringing that story up is the thing that made it different. We didn't, the business grew not necessarily because we implemented systems or strategic approaches that we were doing differently. The business grew because we got a team of people all on the same page, surrounded by the same vision, chasing the same dream.
On purpose.
As Sean says, they were arms and legs of the same creature moving in the same direction. Yeah. And that had not happened for 30 plus years. So when you have a group of people that are all chasing the same dream and they're very clear what that dream is,
there's nothing.
You can make a huge impact. And that's what we want to talk about today on this podcast.
So let's give them the steps. The biggest thing that we're talking about here is you've already figured out what it is that you're after as the owner of the business, what you want from this vehicle called your practice. And so now you got to get the team on board. And this is not a matter of you as the doctor telling them, here's what I want this thing to look like. It's much more about letting them have a say. I mean, what you're really trying to create here is a higher purpose for everybody on your team, including yourself, to come in and really go after it. Serve your patients at the highest level across the board.
What's the thing that's going to get you out of bed in the morning and bring that big butt to work? What's going to get you out of bed and get you when it's cold outside and there's 3 feet of snow? What's going to make you get out of that warm, comfortable bed and get in here and drive this machine?
So if you're driving down the road right now, pull over, grab a pen, and here are 5 steps that are going to help you make that happen very quickly. Number 1,
set up a meeting. You guys that are out there that are listening to this, you have to have a time to set up a meeting to talk about challenges, to talk about opportunities, or just to sit down and talk about what our vision is going to be. If you guys are not having regular meetings right now, step 1 is set up a meeting, a regular meeting every week where you guys address challenges in the business, working on your business versus working in your business.
Step 2, ask them some of the same questions that Cameron and I threw out to you last week. How much money do they want to make? That's got to be part of this process. And we'll talk about down the road how that can be.
What's their why? Yeah.
So how much money do they want to make? What kind of dentistry do they most enjoy doing? What do they want their patients to look like? What do they want their team to look like? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And get some, have them start thinking. It's not about the answers of the questions as much as it is in the asking of the questions. Let these guys, give each other some words and some phrases that have sort of a tug for them. And then step 3 is, as you're asking them these questions and you're having them think about it, delegate probably 5, let's say 3 to 5 statements. So have everybody come up with 3 to 5 statements. This is step 3. Have everybody come up with 3 to 5 statements that have some meaning for them. I mean, you're not trying to come, this is
or
something
sentences.
that you're going to
They don't have to be statements. They can be sentences.
This is something you're going to want to display. This is not something, what's the old saying that you used to hear a lot in dentistry? We cater to cowards. Listen, we're not talking about that. We're talking about a very grandiose, sort of a higher purpose, a higher reason that all of us on this team are going to be coming into this practice when it's cold outside and, we're going to be coming in for a higher purpose other than a paycheck or simply the patient.
I want to add something real quick to that. You want to be thinking about when you're coming up with these 5 sentences or phrases, you want to be thinking about if somebody asks you, what do you do? Right? You're not going to tell them, oh, I work at a dental practice. I mean, a lot of you probably do, but
exactly.
You want to have something that you can tell them that this is what I do. Yeah. This is what emotionally makes me do what I do. This is what's important to me. I want to serve my patients at the absolute highest level and provide the absolute highest level of care that I can.
Exactly. And so number 1, set up a meeting. Number 2, begin to ask them some of these questions. Number 3, challenge them to come up with, 3, 4, 5 sentences that have a real pull for them. Number 4, you're not going to accomplish all of this in the meeting. Send them away from the meeting. Let's delegate 1 person on the team and have everybody get those statements to that 1 person. That one person's job then is at the next meeting, they will present. They've taken everybody's statements, they've stirred them all up, and they've come up with some sort of a phrase, paragraph, something that begins to communicate who it is, how it is, what it is that we intend to be for ourselves, for each other, and for our patients. And those are the 4 big steps. The 5th one,
Big 5.
the 5th one is, we would challenge you to figure out a way to display that in your practice at a very high, sort of grandiose way. We've had lots of guys do this all kinds of different ways. I had a practice in Montana one time that actually chiseled it into a big, like 5-foot piece of granite that they had in their reception area. They had it chiseled into the granite, and they had water pumped over the back and falling over the front, really, really cool. You don't have to go something that big, or you could. It's up to you. But I would display that in a way that majorly says, this is not what we do as much as it is. This is
you got to get attention with it. You want to display it. You don't want to put it in a little picture frame and put it in the bathroom where nobody sees it.
Right.
Put it out there, because what you're trying to do is you're wanting to show your patient base, this is who we are. This is how we live. And we want to put that in front of your face so that you can know that's what we're doing for you, so that you can hold us accountable to it.
Right.
I had a practice, they put it in script, painted it above the door where you walk to the back of the to the clinic, right? From the reception area to the clinic. It's written in above the door, and you hit it when they come out of the football tunnel, they would tap it. So you want to display it in a way that is very, very much visible.
Again,
and how that looks for your practice.
Because you're trying to create this as your identity. This is like who we are.
This is the direction of the ship.
So that's one. Those are 5 steps, and we'll cover that again here in just a second. The second thing that you want to do, and this is probably the most important thing. We sort of mentioned this last time. You as the doctor, we challenged you to figure out what are the things that you're trying to serve. Now, I've been doing this for over 20 years. Cameron's been doing this for a decade. We have tried to figure out what are the things that a dental practice is trying to serve. Our belief is that at the end of the day, there's only 4 things. You're trying to serve that vision that you just
came up with. The overall direction, the vision we came up with.
Number 2, you're trying to serve your patients, obviously. These are in no particular order. But you're trying to serve your vision. You're trying to serve your patients. You're also trying to serve your team. And
you got to serve the money, baby.
The show is called Dental Profits.
Yeah.
You got to serve your bottom line profitability. Our belief is those are the 4 things that you're trying to serve. If you're clear that, that those are the 4 things you're trying to serve, or whatever those things are that you're trying to serve, let's get your team behind this is our criteria for making decisions. The trick is they're in no order, but you're trying to serve all 4. No matter how small or how large the decision is,
there's a lot of practices out there. There's a lot of businesses out there that you're serving. Something that you're doing, the way you're behaving, the way we're being as a team is serving one of those 4. A lot of times it's serving the profitability, or it's serving the bottom line.
Most of the time, what we see is it's only serving the patients.
Yeah,
we haven't considered those other things.
In dentistry, a lot of times it's only serving.
Everybody cares about their patients, and that's great. But you don't want to. You can serve all 4. In other words, none of these are mutually exclusive.
You don't have to bend over backwards for your patients.
Yeah. At the risk of shorting some of the other things is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, you don't want the patients to beat you up, and you bend over backwards for the patients at the risk of not serving your vision or your profitability or your teammates.
I can guarantee you that no matter how small or how large the decision is that's in front of you, and no matter what area it involves in your practice, there is a way to serve all 4 of those things. And if you've only found so far some ways to serve 2 or 3, then you've not thought hard enough.
There's a better way to do it.
There's a better way to do it. The trick is, this is one of the biggest challenges that we see across the board, decision making. If you don't have criteria by which you're going to make decisions, well, number 1, the decisions are probably coming to you as the doctor, which is a big mistake. And we'll talk about that at the next podcast. But number 2, if you don't have a criteria for in which to make decisions, then every decision you make is based on circumstance, it's based on situation, it's based on how you feel, it's based on who's involved, it's based on whether or not you got into it with your spouse before you left home, whatever like that. We don't want you to be in that shape. Another great story. I mean, we had a practice, you and I had a practice in Chicago. This particular practice had been around for lots and lots of years. And I mean, to put it lightly, these guys had zero criteria for making decisions. And so consequently, the doctor, if you remember who I'm talking about, was extremely involved, big time micromanager, to the point that it was almost absurd when somebody at the front desk would take a new patient intake call. He would be standing behind them, talking to her, telling her what to say in the moment. Of course, she couldn't even focus on the call because he was in the way. So he was frustrated because his expectations weren't met. Everybody on the team was frustrated because they weren't able to really do anything.
Yeah.
And so just this one concept of creating, everybody getting on the same page, these are the things that we're trying to serve. And so from this point forward,
there's no decision in the moment anymore.
Every decision that we make is going to be based on serving those 4 things. Now we've got a vision. We've got this criteria. So we're beginning to see a purpose. And so now we can begin to serve our purpose. There's a great book called The Purpose-Driven Life. And I think these 2 big giant steps that we're talking about and getting your team on board with this is what separates you from being able to have a job versus, that you're servant and slave to, versus creating a practice and a business with an environment that is absolutely on purpose, and it's getting you where it is that you want to go. And it's just a hell of a lot more fun in a scenario like that. Everybody on your team is having fun. You're having fun. Stress is low. Things are working out well. And guess what happens when all that happens?
You make more dental profit.
You make more dental profit.
You make more money, honey.
Right. You make more money. So just to recap, you want to give them the commandments?
Well, the prophecy.
The prophecy.
I'm going to give you this dental prophecy.
Drop some prophecy.
Dropping thy prophecy on you.
Do it, Dr. Rico Love.
There's 5 steps, guys. 5 steps that we put in place.
Dr. Rico Love. Where did you?
It's an inside name. It's my pet name with my wife. Dr. Rico Love.
So Cameron sends his wife roses for their 7-year anniversary. But instead of saying something, whatever he said, he signed it Dr. Rico Love.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, man.
She knows.
Come on, man. Who does that?
She knows.
Who does that?
She knows who Dr. Rico Love is.
She knows. Rico Love.
It's anonymous. Man, you got me off track. So listen, there's 5 steps we're going to implement.
I think that's your view of you. I'm not sure that's her view.
No, that's her. That's her. It's an inside thing, man. You wouldn't understand.
Well, maybe
Dr. Rico Love has the prescription to solve your ailments. For sure.
All right, now we seriously got to get back on track.
5 steps, guys. 5 steps. Step 1, you got to have a meeting. You got to be setting up a meeting. If you guys don't have a meeting, a dedicated time every week where you set aside to work on your business instead of working in your business all the time, then step 1, set the meeting.
Step 2,
ask the questions. Ask the questions of your team. How much money do they want to make? Where do they want to be? What's going to get them out of bed? What drives them?
Right.
What if they've been in practice for like Dr. W for 30-something years, and you've got people on the team that have been there that long, what's the thing that brings them in the door, guys? Money never motivates anybody long term. There's got to be something emotional that's pulling them to come to work every day.
So step 1, set the meeting. Step 2, ask the questions. Step 3.
5 steps. 5 questions.
Come up with 3 to 5 statements per person. Step 4, delegate 1 person to take all those statements and go mix them up in a pot and bring them back, and you guys keep working on it until it works out.
That creates your vision.
And then step 5, figure out the best way. Delegate some person to figure out, bring some ideas. Delegate that person to bring some ideas to be able to figure out how you want to display that. The next thing we talked about is figure out what are the things that you're trying to serve. If you share our belief and you're trying to serve your patients, your team, your bottom line profit, and your vision, then get your team behind that. Let's communicate about that. And from this point forward, these are the criteria that we're going to use for every decision that we make moving forward. That is the commandments and the prophecy is, if you do that, you will sow the seeds of higher patient care and soon be reaping the benefits
of the dental profits.
Making
that money, honey.
Making more money. And that's what we want for you, is at the end of the day to make more money and get what it is that you want out of this world. And
have more fun, man. Make more money and have more fun doing it.
That will conclude this week's episode. And hope you enjoyed it. Hope you took lots of notes if you're driving down the road. We'll be sure and can we put some of that in the – you know what? Can we do that?
Yeah, we'll figure out a way to do that. Yeah.
So we'll highlight this in the bottom of the
and we'll put it in the description for sure.
If you like what you hear, or even if you don't like what you hear, if you love us or hate us, you know what? Subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Share this podcast with somebody that you know.
Go to our YouTube page. Go to our YouTube page and subscribe. If you're not on YouTube, if you're not watching this on YouTube,
search the Crabtree Group.
iTunes, go to Dental Profits, Facebook, the Crabtree Group, LinkedIn.
Okay, we got to end that.
Sean Crabtree, Cameron Bailey. We're out there, man.
Thanks, you guys. We'll see you next week. Until then, make lots of money.
See you guys.